Coming up, COVID-19 antibody testing is taking place in Hazard. We'll tell you how it works. And in-person court hearings will soon start back up again in Kentucky.
And more clouds are in store for your Wednesday, along with some scattered showers and storms. I'll have your forecast right now at 4:30.
With more resources for COVID-19 antibody testing in Kentucky, WYMT's Dakota Makris went to primary care in Hazard today and explains how this test works.
At primary care centers of Eastern Kentucky here in Hazard, staff tells me there are multiple reasons why you should get a COVID-19 antibody test. This test is important for people to know if they have had the novel coronavirus before, but it is important to note that if you test positive for antibodies, that does not necessarily mean you cannot contract the virus again. Now, there are two types of tests, IgG, which indicates a past infection, or IgM, which would indicate a possible infection at the time.
We are backing up all of our tests to get confirmation. So if we have someone who tests positive for IgM, which would indicate an acute infection, we are ordering the nasal swab for the PCR testing that we send to the Solaris lab for confirmation to make sure that they're not acutely infected at this time.
The antibody test is just as easy as a finger prick to get a blood sample. The staff tells me it takes just about 5 minutes to get your results back. But for now, I'm in Hazard, Dakota Makris, WYMT Mountain News.
Primary care also sends the results to the University of Kentucky for confirmation at their lab. The test is $135, but it is covered under insurance. If you do not have insurance, primary care can help you sign up for temporary insurance. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is back in Kentucky to discuss some of the ways Washington is helping those impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. He spoke today at UK Hospital. He was there to talk about the impact of the CARES Act and to thank healthcare workers for their response to this pandemic. McConnell said he was glad to see Kentucky beginning to reopen, although he urged precautions such as masks and social distancing.
We can't keep propping up the economy forever. We do need to begin to re-engage, to develop our activity again. We had the best economy in 50 years in February, and now we have Depression-era unemployment in a very short period of time.
McConnell also said there was work ongoing to pass a second stimulus bill. He said with the previous one having only been passed in 1 week, there were mistakes made, and he wanted to try and correct some of them. The University of Kentucky's president says the school will use portions of its contingency fund to save nearly 100 school jobs. The announcement comes as 100 additional academic employees were furloughed Friday. The school furloughed about 1,700 academic and UK healthcare employees last month due to revenue deficits related to the coronavirus outbreak. The school says many of the healthcare workers have since returned.
Well, we've seen those clouds move back into the mountains, and they're going to stick around as we head into your Wednesday. So starting to look a little bit on the gloomy side out there, but only dealing with a few scattered showers and storms across the area. Go ahead and take you up to a few of those cameras as we look on top of Buffalo Mountain here in Perry County. Still kind of seeing the sun peeking through, possibly a little bit, but starting to see those thicker clouds take over. And as we look into downtown Whitesburg, starting to look a little bit on the gloomy side over there, maybe even just a little bit of a storm. You see kind of a storm cloud over there as we look into parts of downtown. And looking at pinpoint Doppler, it looks like we're seeing a stray shower over into Wise County, over into parts of Virginia. Some showers in Claiborne County, Campbell County, Tennessee, one in northern Laurel County. So as we kind of zoom in on that area, some of those downpours a little bit heavy at times. As we look over the past hour, Somerset got some heavy downpours, starting to see some downpours move in. We'll see Middlesboro get in on a downpour here in the next little bit. Now heading throughout the rest of the evening hours, we'll continue to see those scattered showers and thunderstorms, but mostly cloudy skies take over tonight, continue into tomorrow, along with those rain chances. We have a big cool down on the way, though, heading into the end of the week. I'll have details on that coming up in a little bit.
All right, thank you, Paige. Kentucky's legal system has been mostly on hold since March because of the pandemic, but in-person court hearings will start back next Monday. Prosecutors say judges are still working on the rules for each county, but say it will be challenging, especially when it comes to jury selection. WYMT's Phil Pendleton talked to the Commonwealth's attorney in Laurel County about some of the changes.
It has been more than 2 months since a case was heard in open court in many Kentucky counties.
Yeah, we were 3 months behind, 4 months behind now. Not going to start jury trials until after August at the earliest. So we're going to be 6 months behind in jury trials when we do pick back up.
But courthouses and judicial systems will start back on June 1st with court hearings.
Because you're going to have a lot less people there sitting and watching, distancing themselves from each other. Even the attorneys, as far as walking back and forth across the courtroom, everything's going to be changed a lot.
Steele says the biggest challenge will be picking a jury when the time comes for trials to resume.
We don't have any courtrooms in the Commonwealth that are big enough to hold 80 to 100 people just to start jury selection. So we suspect jury selection is going to be in stages.
Judges will be making decisions and the rules for each individual courtroom based on some direction from the Kentucky Supreme Court. But it's likely going to be that many people will need to come to the courthouse or their judicial center in a mask. Some of the courtroom may not have to wear them during testimony because it may interfere with the recording systems.
I know that jurors are going to be required, I believe that word is required in the order. Witnesses in and out of the courthouse themselves or just people coming to get a driver's license are going to be required to have masks on.
Steele says a limited number of spectators will be allowed in courtrooms because the state constitution mandates open trials. In Franklin County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
Steele also says he believes there could be more plea deals because of the pandemic, especially in drug treatment cases. As the number of cases of COVID-19 are at an all-time low in New York City, the fight healthcare workers face each day has become somewhat familiar. One Magoffin County native, Heath Ward, is on the front lines. He is a first-year internal medicine resident in the ICU department at Mount Sinai Beth Israel Hospital in Manhattan. Unaware he would be helping save lives in this way, at first it was shocking, but Ward says it is just part of what healthcare workers do.
They rode in Teslas to the launch pad in a final rehearsal. But for astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley, this is their ride that matters. The Crew Dragon capsule, now poised to blaze a new American path.
Okay, that's a story we're going to see a little bit later. We jumped the gun a little bit. Well, the World Health Organization has paused a trial of the drug hydroxychloroquine over safety concerns. This comes after a study published in the Lancet Medical Journal showed patients receiving the anti-malaria drug had an increased risk of death and heart problems compared to other coronavirus patients.
They're going to stop enrolling for about a week, the hydroxychloroquine arm only, and take a closer look, given the results that were published in Lancet last week at a Columbia University. Makes sense. Make sure that there's no side effects that were missed.
President Trump recently finished a 2-week regimen of the drug after revealing last week he was taking it as a preventative measure. The Trump administration says most people with Medicare will pay a maximum copay of $35 a month for insulin. Insulin is used by millions of people with diabetes to keep their blood sugars within normal ranges. The administration helped insulin manufacturers and insurers reach a deal. Democrats, including presidential candidate Joe Biden, want to go much further and authorize Medicare to negotiate prices for all prescription drugs. Governor Beshear allowed more places to open last week, and falling into one of those categories was the Portal 31 exhibition mine in Lynch. WYMT's Will Puckett went there today to find out more about how they are making it work.
Portal 31 season normally runs from about the beginning of March to the beginning of December. And as COVID-19 was shutting things down, Portal 31 was starting things up to start their season. But despite all those closures, director Nick Sturgill says it could not have come, honestly, at a better time. From March to mid-May, they aren't too terribly busy. This slow opening for them is proving to be good. They opened this past weekend and saw about 15 people, a far cry from their typical numbers between 50 and 100 people on a summer day. But what they saw this past weekend, Sturgill says, is encouraging.
People who are coming through, it seems to me that they are somewhat cautious, but they are still wanting to live their lives. They're wanting to get out and do things, and that's what we're here for, and that's what we need. We need people coming through that are traveling.
Now Portal 31 is shrinking their tour sizes as well as putting more time in between each tour in order to sanitize and reduce the amount of people coming into contact with each other. In Lynch, Will Puckett, WYMT Mountain News.
Sturgill says they are asking people to wear masks, but not requiring it. Coming up on Mountain News at 4:30, 2 astronauts are set to blast off from U.S. soil for the first time since 2011.
And we'll see more scattered showers and storms throughout the week, but a big cool down's on the way by the end of the week. I'll have those details coming up.